$1 million question. Everybody wants to know, was this an accident or was this intentional? And listen, you have two young adults competing. They're racing on the track. One of the girls gets smacked in the back of the head with a baton, which is a very solid baton, though it's light. Okay, you get struck with that hard enough, you guys, it definitely will hurt. And a lot of opinions. A lot of people are saying it's an accident. Some people are saying it's intentional. Listen, I'm going to give you my thoughts and perspective as a law enforcement expert, someone who's investigated numerous of crimes, and also have broken down numerous of video, body cam footage, security footage. I'm going to give you my thoughts play by play as how I would actually investigate this, the questions that I would ask, and then also what I'm actually looking for. So let's dive into it. Let's not waste any more time. First, let's go ahead and play the news clip. They're going to break down the basics, and then we will take a look at the actual video, slow it down, and I'm going to give you my thoughts as to whether or not this is intentional. But I want to know what you guys think after watching this. Does this look like an intentional strike? All right.
Recovering nearly a week after being hit on the head by another runner during a race. Junior Kaelen Tucker was running the second leg of the 4x200 relay in the Virginia State High School League Championships when the shocking incident happened.
That's when she hit me with the baton.
Watch again as you see the two sprinters running side by side as they round the corner with Kaelen on the outside, Kaelen's mother cheering her on. Just as Kaelen is passing the other runner, the athlete swings her baton, striking Kaelen.
I just felt a bang on my head, and then I fell off the track immediately.
Kaelen dropping her baton and reaching for her head. The 16-year-old was later diagnosed with a concussion. The family says neither the athlete who struck Kaelen nor the other team's coaches checked on Kaelen or reached out afterwards.
Okay, so for the sake of this discussion, you guys, this young lady right here is going to be considered the victim. Okay, so I'm going to refer to her as the victim. Okay, and then, of course, the suspect. Let's actually pull up a video giving her explanation, and then we will break down the actual video, and I'm gonna give you my thoughts. All right, so here's who we're considering the suspect. Okay, this is Markeisha Jackson.
Everybody has feelings, so you're physically hurt, but you're not thinking of my mental, right?
Alaila Everett is a decorated athlete and senior at IC Norcom High School. She would have never thought her trip to the Class 3 track and field state finals last Tuesday would take a drastic turn.
They're going off of one angle. After a couple times hitting her, my baton got stuck behind her back like this, and it rolled up her back. I lost my balance, and when I pumped my arms again, she got hit.
It appears intentional, but Alaila says it was accidental.
But I know my intentions, and I would never hit somebody on purpose. I didn't have to see your first video, second video, 10th video. I know 100% that she won't do this to nobody.
Her parents outraged at the backlash. The IC Norcom relay team was disqualified, a ruling that a local USA.
Okay, what I'll say here, pausing this, the parents' opinion of their child absolutely means nothing. Okay, they're not obviously a credible witness. Okay, I can't tell you how many times I've arrested so many obviously children, young adults, and their parents are completely spellbound. Right, they're clueless. They're like, not my Johnny, right? Not my Ashley, not my Tamika, not my Tyrone. Okay, so what the parents have to say is irrelevant. Okay, we look after the evidence, we look at the interviews and things of that nature. We're gonna come back to this video here to the right. This is actually the victim, and to the left here is the suspect. So let's keep going. As you're starting to see, the victim is catching up to the suspect. One thing I want to point out that's really important is the lane, okay? I want you to focus on the lane that the suspect and the victim are actually running in. All right, and look how close they are to each other. And at some point in time, the victim stated that their elbows were clashing, all right? Before we even get into the swing, this is what I want you to see. Okay, look at where the lady in the red is. Okay, the young lady in the red, she's more centered, okay, in lane one. She's confident she's in that lane. She's owning that lane. What you see here from the suspect is that she is actually staying closer to the outside of her own lane. And in my opinion, it appears to me that she's doing this as an attempt to keep the victim from being able to overtake her and go into her lane. Obviously, she knows that that's the intention. Okay. All right. The baton goes up against her back. At this point, this is where she's saying it got caught on her shirt, and that the momentum of her recalibrating herself is what caused her hand to come down quickly and strike her in the head. Unfortunately, you guys, that is just not believable just from the video. Here's why. The moment the baton is free, okay, look what happens in the video. The moment the baton is free, that motion stops. From there's a second motion where she's now pulling the baton back for maximum distribution, okay? And you will see it here. And then you see the targeted of the strike. Her elbows are turned this way. Her arm comes out in a swinging motion directed towards the head. It's not coming down in a waving motion as a hand that's being recalibrated back down to run. It's coming back further after it's cleared. She twists further back, and then she looks at the head. She aims, and then you see a striking motion, and then you see the complete extension of the completed strike. And then from there, she brings back the arm over her head, and she continues to run while the girl runs right past her, okay? Here we go. Strike. She holds the baton up, out of the way. And then watch how she gets back into the run stride. There you go. So let's break down this entire thing, okay? They're running. Obviously, there's a level of frustration going on. You're bumping against the person who's absolutely caught up to you. You're probably shocked. You're probably frustrated. You're rubbing elbows, and then your baton does swing against her back, and you see her back, okay? You know it's game over. She's about to pass you. In a moment of frustration from clashing side by side, and you know she's trying to take over your lane, out of a moment of anger and frustration, you have an explosive moment where it may look like you're trying to push her off out of frustration and not realizing you had that baton still in your hand. Muscle memory meaning that you don't control your anger well, and through frustration you're trying to smack her out the way, not realizing in that moment, in the heat of the moment, that you're holding a baton. And in that striking waving motion, she was struck in the head. You could see her looking directly at her head when she strikes her. The other issue was the lack of empathy. You knew you hit her because you admit that you did. And then you're watching her hold her head as she run past you, and you never stopped. Here's my issue. We're gonna just one more time, just so you guys can see it. And here we go. The winding. She's looking, okay? She's not looking ahead. She's looking directly at her head. Okay? Look at the position of the elbow, the angle at which the elbow is at. She's looking at her head. She's looking. I guess it'll be this way. She's looking, and she strikes down just like this. Boom. It'd be one thing if, again, she's recalibrating back into that running stride and she swings the arm downward and she catches the victim's arm. That would be more accurate. And then look how she brings the baton back. Wow. What's disappointing about this, you guys, I'm not going to lie, honestly, is the fact that she didn't own up to it. Instead, she lied. You know, these tears, ain't nobody believe in this. I'm gonna point out to you one thing that caught me looking at her during this her statement that she gave. She's gonna make eye contact up until she starts not being honest. And then you're going to see her eyes go down. She's going to be looking down in a sense when she's not being honest. Why do people do that? Two reasons, in my experience: embarrassment, and then also shame, guilt. Okay, right here she says, after a couple times hitting her with my baton. Okay, so she admits to that, just like the victim did. Here's the eye movement. She's looking down when she's about to tell this part of the story.
Got stuck behind her back like this, and it rolled up her back. I lost my balance, and when I pumped my arms again, she got hit.
It appears
That's a big telltale sign, all right? It may not seem like much to you, but when you're sitting across from somebody and you're interviewing them on a crime that they're getting ready to go to jail for, that you want to prosecute them on, when people start changing their eye positioning, when they start looking around on certain things, when they can't talk to you directly, when they start stuttering over certain words, these are indicators. And these are indicators that you pull out of people after you've had regular conversations about things and in general, and you see how they react when they are telling things that they don't have a reason to lie about. And then once you start seeing a shift in their mannerisms, a shift in the way they use their eye contact, those are indicators that I note and document. Well, why would she lie about this part? Okay. And so these are things that I pick up. So let me just slow it down so you can kind of see exactly what I would pick up on. And again, it's a good way to examine red flags that you need to pay attention to. So she's giving her statement. She's very clear, and she's explaining everything up until the strike, and then you see a difference in her mannerisms. She's looking up. She's talking about this actually happened. We see this on the video. Okay, the baton slides up against the victim's back. Okay, she's saying that she recalibrated because she lost her balance, and then she started pumping again. Her arm swung out this way. All right, but in actuality, if she's recovering from this position, then even if she's losing her balance, you don't see her lose her balance while she's running, but let's say she's losing her stride. Even still, her arm shouldn't swing out this way towards the head. It still actually should come forward. Striking the victim is not the issue. Where she struck her is the problem. And she's describing it. And this is when she's telling the lie. She's looking away, she's looking down, she's not making eye contact at all, okay? But when you look at her previous statements, her eyes are open, you can see she's being honest. No one's concerned about my mental, okay? This is what she's saying. No one's concerned about how I feel. Yeah, you hurt, but she's grabbing, looks like some tissue. But she doesn't have an issue being honest about how she feels. It seems like she has an issue admitting to the intent of the actual strike. I think, my closing personal opinion, I think that she did it out of frustration. I think that she did not want to do it. I think it was reactionary. I think it was out of frustration. I think she was already angry that she was behind. And then she was also getting irritated that she kept bumping elbows with this girl who's getting ready to overtake her in her lane. So then she positions herself in a way to make it difficult for this girl to pass her. And as the victim starts to pass her, this frustration overtakes her. She's constantly bumping her baton against her body. And as a last resort of frustration, when she snatches her hand back, out of anger, she releases it into a strike. Her face is pointing directly at the head. Her arm is aimed directly at the back of the girl's head. She makes a sweeping motion across the head, extends the arm as a strike, brings the arm back up in the air as the girl's holding her head. She's running across the screen, the track, off into the side, and she sees her, watches her hit the ground. She knows she hit her now, okay? The girl is admitting that she's aware that she hit her. And the fact that she didn't go over there and check and stop, to me, lets me know that she was not concerned. She did not care. Her frustration was satisfied. And her frustration being satisfied is why she continued on the race. I can't imagine how people would actually smack somebody back of the head with a baton, see them fall over, and then not stop. So that's how I would look at it. I would ask the parents if they'd want to press charges, and I would go from there, you guys. But that would be what I would put together in my investigation, the things that I would look at. And the questions I would ask the young girl is, have they raced together before? Okay. I would want to know what the suspect's track record is like, meaning, is she number one? Has she always won? I'd want to know kind of what's been going on in her life in the past week or so. Has there been some issues? Is she struggling with maybe some depression at the moment? Is she doing good in school? I would also look at, obviously, the pressure that she might be under. You know, how good is her school doing? What is the pressure? Is she considered a superstar? We see all the accolades. Has she been losing lately? Okay, so all these things would play into a level of frustration where you would see maybe an explosive anger out of anger and out of frustration. Obviously, there's no justification in it, but my thing is trying to get to an understanding as to why she would respond that way. I would also ask other people, is she known to have a temper? That's important too. You know, a lot of these athletes, you guys, they are very competitive and they don't like to lose. And so this is the first time I've ever seen something like this. But those are the questions I would ask. I would even ask the victim, you know, have you ran against her before? You know, is she an up and coming star? So are they often competing against each other during these track meets? That's important because it shows that there's a history there, a history of frustration, right? Do they know each other? That's also very important to ask, and things like that. One of the things that she said, that the suspect said, is that the victim unfollowed her. Okay, so these are things that I'm looking at. And you know, that's kind of how it come down to my investigation from there. But that's my thoughts. What do you guys think? Was this intentional or was it an accident? What do you think? Let me get your thoughts below. Like, comment, share, subscribe. With that, good night. God bless.